Hola, beautiful friends. I hope that you're doing so well wherever you are in this now. I am wanting to share something, so I hope it's of service. Couldn't talk just then. So I wanted to talk about spiritual health. So we have grown up in a society, this generation of now humans, where physical health has been the focus, right? And it's not really come from like an actual health perspective. It's more like you need to look this way so that you're attractive, and then you'll be happy, and then you'll be healthy, which is total bullshit, but whatevs. But so for like physical health, the physical body has been like this main focus. And then we started to go into, culturally speaking, into like psychology, right? Mental health. And a lot of studies and looking at just behavior and then modifying behavior through psychological modalities. Great, cool. The mind is super awesome, super malleable, and it's such a beautiful access point to translate information. I see it as like the motherboard in a computer. And then we start looking at emotional health, because I think through psychology, they were like, oh man, like there are emotional relationships to the thoughts, and wow, the emotions are really affecting the body. And so then we start looking at like this holistic approach to the body, the mind, and the emotions. And I think all these are really, really, really awesome, and we need these things. And y'all, in our culture, spiritual health has not been remotely talked about. In fact, it's the part that's actually been hidden. It's been kind of shoved aside. It's actually been made fun of and marginalized and minimized in its value and importance and historical, like legendary importance, I think. What I find really fascinating is, when you look at any indigenous culture, like spirit is like a thing, like there is a direct relationship and conversation around spirit, whether it's God or the universe or Pachamama or like the cosmos, like so much spirit is a part of the human culture, except in ours. In fact, when we start to really look at spirituality, we start to look at so much, an interconnection between all life. We start to look at spiritual gifts, right? Like, which are really metaphysical gifts. Spiritual gifts are metaphysical manifestations. That's what they are. And in our culture, it's like, no, don't look at spiritual gifts. Poo-poo on the metaphysical, ignore all these things. Let's just look at what we can control. We can control what we can what you put in your body. We can control what information you receive. So we'll be controlling your thoughts. And we're going to control your emotions by pumping you with hormones, basically, whether it's in a pill form or in the cow milk or in the meat that you eat. So that's like what the system has really been focused on. So I wanted to just chat about this for a moment, because I just find it super important and hopefully inspiring a little bit or a lot of it. So I want to talk about the spiritual and metaphysical, because it's the same thing. When we really start looking at spiritual gifts, we can look at like telekinesis, right? Where you move things, you move things with your mind and your heart. And it sounds like, oh, that's just magic and that's just make-believe and that's not real, until you bend a spoon and you're like, oh, wow. And then you remember that there is no spoon. It's all energy, like nothing is real. It's all an illusion. And, we have psychic abilities, we have telepathic abilities, we can communicate with each other through timelines and through all locations, known and unknown, seen and unseen. We can communicate And when the powers that be, the system, when they are like, when they know that we know these things, then they also know that they lose their power, right? Because then we're not as reliant on those systems, right? We start to tap into a higher knowing that other people have talked about over our lifetimes about, free energy and sovereign living and like living in community and living off the land. If we are connected back with spirit and these powers of the sovereign heart and the collective heart, we reconnect with the land. When we reconnect with the land, we stop our reliance on the system. If we don't rely on the system, then we are not working until we're dead to pay them back. Like, we work so that they can pay us just enough for us to pay them more and be forever indebted to the system. So that we're working like the hamster on the wheel all the time to try to get ahead and to get somewhere so we can get to that joy and to get to that happiness and to get to that peace. Dear God, one day I will. More people are waking up that that's not a reality that is sustainable for them, right? We're going through this huge mass awakening. We've been going through awakenings, and it's like levels of awakening. It's removing the veil, right? It's the coming online. It's leaving the matrix and the system. Anyway, people are recognizing that we can't live that way anymore. We can't live without rest and peace. We can't live ingesting plastics. We can't live and feel like we're alive when we're not connected with the earth. We start to shut down. We start to break down. There are some that are totally cool with that shutdown, breakdown, distraction. Let's just go out every weekend, get wasted, not have any heart connection, and I just see like litter bugs. That's like just people that just don't care. They just don't care about anything other than themselves, their paycheck, and period. That's it, right? Enough of the stuff and things so that they can feel like they're a part of the system, so that they can control others, so that they can get off their own damn hamster wheel by making someone else be on the hamster wheel for them. Here's the thing. That system is dismantling. It's starting to crumble because people are getting off of their wheel and not making others hop on it. Because once we hop off of the wheel, because we've chosen to, not because we've made it, there's a huge difference. This conversation's like totally going into another line, but hey, apparently this is what needs to come out. When we get off of that hamster wheel, because we're divinely guided, right? We are following this like, I don't know why, but I have to get off this hamster wheel. I can't be doing this anymore. I got to change everything. When we do that, out of that desire, that like high heart desire, we won't make anyone else get on the fucking hamster wheel for us, right? We don't do that because it takes a lot of courage and strength, and it takes a sacrifice to get off of this hamster wheel. It does. If you have gone through any kind of spiritual awakening, life transition, big change where you had to leave or you chose to leave one thing for another thing, there is a big sacrifice that happens. There's an offering. And they don't talk about this stuff in any kind of like physical, mental, or emotional health, anything. This is a spiritual health conversation. So anyway, when we get off of that hamster wheel in the highest good for ourselves, when we're kind of in that mode, we tend to live in that way of being in the highest good for others. So I'm not going to make someone else get on the damn hamster wheel, right? Like, because we know how bad it sucked. In fact, when we get off of the wheel and we're really creating a new pattern, we recognize how painful life was when we were on the wheel. And that's the last thing we would want anyone to have to go through, especially the healing time of like, when you're on like the moving sidewalks in the airport, and you're walking and you get off and you're in that moment where you're like, God, I'm not going as fast, but I'm still walking. And there's just that transition that's just weird. So it's kind of like that. Before you kind of get your sea legs back and you get your own like rhythm and cadence in your life, which is going to be a little bit slower and it's going to be maybe a little bit more fun and not so linear like that moving sidewalk, right? You can move in and out with more ease. That transition time is really typically uncomfortable, right? It's a little jarring for the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body. It's the spiritual body that will keep us whole and intact. It's the connection with that higher self, the oversoul, the source. It's that connection that keeps us like connected with all of those other parts. Now, if I don't have that higher connection when I'm going through these transitions, I will start to hyper focus on one of the other three bodies. So I might hyper focus on my physical, or maybe it'll break down, or I'll hyper focus on my mental. I'm like, if I just change my thoughts, then I'm not going to feel the emotions. I just need to change my thoughts. Or I get so into the emotions that I can't even think my way into any clarity because I'm just in the hole of despair and I've let my body go, right? But when we can stay connected to our spiritual health, the other things tend to fall in alignment. And we see that unifying force connecting all of us. So we don't want to do harm, right? We live in the world of ahimsa, right? Do no harm. So we don't put others on that hamster wheel. So here's the thing about spiritual health. When we reclaim spiritual health, we detach from the matrix even more, right? We can't not. We become more sovereign, and that sovereignty comes from the unifying oneness of the is, of the creator, of the infinite, of the vast nothing, whatever you want to call it. That divinity, love. When we're all connected to love, we kind of say fuck off to the systems that are not in alignment or remotely playing with love at all. And we can't not turn our backs on them and create new experiences in our own life and then in others' lives and then back in touch with the earth. When we stop relying and playing in that system, the matrix, we quicken the crumbling. It's like if you have 5 people and they're all playing Monopoly and one steps back, you can still play with 4 people, right? One more person steps back, you can still play with 3. Third person steps out. It's not as much fun now because it's just 2 people and that's going to be a forever game. Another person steps out. Now it's just one person playing this game. Eventually, that person's just going to be playing by themselves forever. Who cares? They're playing by themselves. It literally doesn't matter. Or they're going to stop playing the game. The game is no longer effective when no one is playing it. There's no reason for me to get off of the hamster wheel and to stop playing the game if I am, 1, blinded by the illusion, and also if I'm completely disconnected to my spiritual health, my energetic health. My energetic health is also in direct correlation to the relationship that I have with the energy of and on the earth. The energy, the relationship and love that I have, the respect and honoring and admiration that I have for the Mother Earth is in direct relationship to how I am connected with my higher self. So, when we look at environmentalists and we look at the deeply spiritual, there really isn't much of a difference between them. Their messages may be different. One may come from a place of fear, either side, right? Fear of change on the earth, fear of hell. And if you're in either program of fear, you're literally just feeding that old system anyway, because you're facing the fear program as opposed to facing the love program, which is in alignment with life itself. And if we're in alignment with life itself, then environmentalists and like spiritualists connect to the unifying force and see that there's always another way, another answer. There's another step to move forward in too. There is another place to move forward. And that is like important. It's what is going to unify the survivors on the earth plane. You know, I reclaiming spiritual health, reclaiming love for the earth and her inhabitants, the animals, the plants, the people. Reclaiming and remembering those things will get us through to the next iteration of life on earth. If we are disconnected to spirit, if we are disconnected from love, if we're disconnected from the earth, but we're connected to the banks, right? We're connected to that, or we're connected to the media, or we're connected to, you know, this brand of car that I have in my McMansion garage. Like, when we're connected to the earth and to the something greater, we naturally start to disengage from the system. Now, the system, because everything is, right? From that like complete neutrality, like fear isn't a bad thing. It's just, are you going to feed it or are you going to feed love, right? Because it's all going to be here. But the focus on the fear takes us out of spirituality. It takes us away from our spiritual health. It takes us away from creating the new step, the new chapter, the new book. So my point of the many points for this is to bring into your awareness spiritual health, and maybe have that on like kind of the forefront of your mind. You know, is your mind focused on fear and lack and judgment? Is it stagnating? Is it not being creative? Is it always being distracted? Are you using your mind intentionally, or is your mind using you? Because again, I see the brain as being the motherboard. It's a programmable system. It has been programmed by the system. So that's where we start to reclaim it and let the higher mind, or the sovereign heart, be the programmer of it. So now my heart and my mind have a coherence. And so now I am fully connected and creating from that place, as opposed to blindly following a program that I believe is my own truth, although it doesn't resonate and I feel a lot of heaviness in my life. This is where we get to make choices. Time is quickening. The literal rotation of the earth is quickening. Like, things are quickening. So things will get more uncomfortable. It's almost like when you're on that hamster wheel and it goes so fast that next thing you know, you're not running on it anymore, but it is now just spinning you. Like you're on tumble dry in the dryer. You can get off of the hamster wheel of the program at any given now that you so choose. And it may mean that you step off of the hamster wheel, reconnect with your heart, with creativity, with play, with pleasure, with joy, with the earth, with spirit, with the cosmos. And then it may mean that you got to get back on the wheel, right? Because you still live in a third dimensional experience where you have bills and this and that, and you have a lifestyle that it's not the easiest to just pluck yourself up out of a lifestyle into another. And yet, that's where you're going to get the most spiritual growth. So there's that. When I've done it, it's been like, oh God, trajectory into my higher self. Ah! And it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter how you do it. It doesn't matter if you do it. What matters is you literally made of atomic particles, and you make up this thing called you, and you matter. So how you live it is up to you. You can live it in a way with your spiritual health in the forefront, right? So that is in your awareness. You know, you can always drop the spiritual relationship into your heart and work from a place of love and compassion and grace for all, especially for the earth. Y'all, if we don't love this earth, her messages are getting louder. I'll make another video on the messages of the earth because they are getting so loud. Homegirl's been talking to me since I was a kid. Yo, the earth and I have had this relationship where she communicates with me and her messages are getting loud. I'm like, sister, I know. I'll talk about that on another now, very soon now, apparently. So, spiritual health. Please put this into your frontal lobe. Let it be a part of your focus. Try to find more balance in your body, mind, and emotional health. And let spiritual health, energetic health, it's the health of your energetic body. You know, if you want to view it that way, if the word spiritual is like, it's too close to religion, well, fuck that shit. I'm not religious. But if it's triggering, I understand. But you know, it's your energetic health. It's your subtle body health, the energy that you are, the light that you are, the energy that surrounds you, that you emanate out, that you magnetize to you. There's a way to actually mitigate that and to keep it healthy and vibrant and clear. It's like your physical body, right? You can clear it, you can clean it, you can detoxify it, right? It's like your emotions. It's like once you have a good cry, you're like, oh, I feel like you just had this, like, it almost, like, you know, when you have like a really good cry, a big release, it feels like you almost had like a facial orgasm, right? It's like you had this orgasm, but it all just like came out of your face. It's like that. It's, you know, we can clear our mind. You know, you go to, you know, you do like a 10-day meditation retreat and your mind's going to be a lot clearer when you leave, more than likely. So we can do the same thing with our energetic body, our spiritual body. So my invitation is to keep your spiritual health, your spiritual health, like add that to the list. Like maybe even put it like near the top. I'm a spiritual guide. I work with people to hone their spiritual health, which is going to directly affect your physical, your mental, and your emotional health. I work with those as well because those are very important and they are all messengers of where you are spiritually, right? Like if you have a chronic pain in your body, that is a message from the consciousness called your vessel to you that your higher self is giving you through your body to be like, hey homie, this is what you're feeling. This is what you're not processing. These are some traumas that maybe you haven't resolved or some experiences that haven't healed or been fully felt. Maybe it's something in your epigenetics, in your ancestral lineage. You know, maybe, you know, it's a mental condition where you're like in super anxiety mode or depression mode. So it's all correlated. So all that to say is I work with all of the bodies and it always is going to go back to the spiritual health that I focus on. Because to me, without it, we are nothing. Literally, it's the glue that holds us together. It's like electrons around the atom. It's energy. We are nothing but a bunch of photons. We don't know how to manage that. Y'all, one, we don't feel good. Two, yo, when you manage that shit, I just want to say this and then I'm going to hop off here. When you manage your spiritual health, when you like got this relationship with like great spirit, your great spirit, the holiness of you, it is so much more fun. You manifest, you magnetize, you are a magician. You unlock some gifts like that. Next thing you know, your telepathy is like on point where it like, you don't even realize that you're being telepathic until you just go up to someone and like, hey, do you need this thing? And they're like, I was about to ask you for that. And you're like, I know. You know, you see more with your physical eyes, or your third eye is more open. Maybe your auditory senses are a little bit more keen. You know, you might have a higher knowing. You might start to hear the medicine and messages of the earth herself, or the rocks, or the water, or the birds, or the bees, everything. We become more in tune with life itself. And that is magic. Life is magic. Life is miraculous. We are miraculous, but if we are disconnected from our spiritual health, we have no awareness. It's like somebody giving you a bucket of gold and you not knowing what gold is. You're like, okay, whatever, it's a bucket of rocks. Like, whatevs, okay. And until someone is like, so you know, that's a bucket of gold, and you can do X, Y, and Z with that you'll be like, oh shit, yeah, I got a bucket of gold, yeah. And you get like super excited, and you're gonna play with your bucket of gold or sell it or whatever. You are the bucket of gold. You're the master alchemizer. You are great spirit in your body, ready to remember and reclaim and reconnect and live as the embodiment of life. The end. So anyway, send me a message if you would like some spiritual health guidance. I work with clients one-on-one. I hold ceremonies in groups and also private ceremonies. So let me know if this is something that you're interested in. Send me an email. I'll put the thingy in the description box. Click the subscribe button. Share this if you are so called. If you are like, oh my God, spiritual health, that's a thing. Yeah, share it with others, please. Because it's time. It's time for us to step up. So I love you so much. I'm so grateful that you took the time to check this out. I look forward to seeing you again and again and again and again and again and again. And I hope that you continue to enjoy these nows, however fast they're going, whatever wheel you're spinning on, however life is taking you. I hope that you can find some joy in it. I love you so much. I'll see you soon, okay? Peace out. Bye.